What do you like better, Christmas or wedding season?
Mr. Gray.
Yes. The answer would be wedding season.
Bingo.
Well, you've just inspired me to hire a DJ, so thank you.
Oh, well, good luck finding a DJ who can move and shake like this.
You are now listening to Cutmaster Cast.
Yo. Welcome back to another round of the Cutmaster Cast, your favorite wedding industry podcast.
Yeah.
My name is Chris Romero.
And my name is Tony Pacheco. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, what's up, you guys? We are DJs out of Albuquerque, New Mexico with Cutmaster Music. And if this is your first time joining us, we want to welcome you. And for those that have been listening and have been on the ride with us, we appreciate having you back. And we know it's been, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks since we've been able to put out an episode. And it's because for a few different reasons. We've had some events going on. I went on vacation, took some family time, and actually,
okay too.
And we're also going to talk about today on the episode what Tony and I we kind of had a vacation. We went
Worked the whole time.
We went and
we drank a lot.
so it was business and pleasure.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that on today's episode as well. But we're glad to be back. So on this podcast, we tend to talk about 3 different areas, including wedding industry business tips and hacks and tricks, and then our weekly events. And then at the end of every episode, we go back to the music. And we may not get into some of this today because I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit longer episode, and we are strapped for time in recording this one. So and also just don't forget, make sure you follow us, share us on all socials. We are at Cutmaster Music. So
that's us.
Wanted to get that in before we get started here. So let's jump right into it. And this is going to get into the events portion of our podcast. And we want to start off talking about an industry, I guess you could call it like an industry, it's not really a conference. It's a group basically that I've been.
They say symposium a lot there.
We call it our summer symposium, and it's a group called the DJ Think Tank that is comprised of about 50 or so different, more so DJ company owners. And during summer symposium, we are able to bring some of our team with us. And Tony, this is your second symposium.
Second time, yeah.
That you joined me. And this year it was in the very frigid Phoenix, Arizona.
Satan spends his summer vacay there because it was hot.
It was a little bit hot. I think on the last day that we left, it was 119.
Yep. Record breaking every single day we were there.
Yeah.
It was
the low. I don't know if you saw the low while we were out there was 98 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tried to enjoy a cup of coffee at like 6 a.m. and you were like, nope.
I did that once.
Back inside.
One morning, and I was like, nah. Oh, yeah. I went outside thinking, it'll be nice and cool out here. I'll try to enjoy my coffee, and I was out there for about 10 seconds. Like, nope, this is already
back
hot.
to the AC.
Yeah.
It was hot.
It was hot.
Cool. It was cool.
So, yeah, let's talk about the summer symposium. And, and more so, I think this is good for you to chit-chat a little bit about it, and the experience. So I was lucky enough to be asked to be on the hosting committee on this one.
Yeah.
So I was able to put together some of the fun activities that we did, including like the opening night, which, everybody flies in typically on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And the conference goes from Sunday till really in earnest till Wednesday. And then everybody's flying out on Thursday.
Yeah.
So, the first night we have a welcome party. Did that at the ASU Kerr, which was basically on the property within walking distance.
It was cool. I liked it.
Thank God it was like really close walking distance because
it
was hot.
It was like a 30-second walk, but even then that was horrible. But yeah, it was nice. I guess that was like an old church, right?
Yeah, I guess they use it as a church.
Oh, they do. They still use it as a church.
Yeah, I guess they use it like as a church, but it's not. It's part of the Arizona State University. It's like a multi-use facility. So
they do all kinds of things.
Yeah, they do all kinds of stuff there.
Nice.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
Just it's more of just a mixer, a welcoming night.
Yeah.
And then the next day we had some pretty cool education.
Yeah.
You know that it's a day full of educational things that
We had that magician on, dude. He was amazing.
yeah.
He scouted me out Sunday night at the bar at the spot.
Right. He was mixing with us on Sunday night.
Rich what?
I don't remember what his
It's okay.
last name
But he had like right when he introduced himself for his speech, his keynote, he had all of these different things that he was on. He's on the Today Show, Good Morning America,
Jay Leno, Oprah.
Crazy. This dude was a
Yeah.
massive, big time magician, and he hung out. He met with all kinds of different people on Sunday night, but he did a couple of magic tricks in front of us. They
Yeah.
were nuts.
It was-
They were nuts. He got the card to change while my fingers were on it the whole time, a bunch of different things. But then he had said what's up to me right before the keynote when we were all sitting in the room. And he's like, yo, we connected. I'm going to probably call you a couple times just because I feel a good connection with you on the magic. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And so, like, there were some crazy ones. He had cut a card. We ripped the cards in half. And there was like 5 of us, and we
Switched them.
separated them, asked people in the audience, do we go left, do we go right? And we somehow ended up with our same cards, and it was just crazy. But what he talked about was a lot on like body language,
Right.
reading people's mannerisms, seeing what they are reacting to, where their where their toes are pointed,
Right.
tells you everything
In a
about
conversation when you're sitting in a circle of people, being able to read.
paying attention to where their feet are will tell you exactly where they are in the conversation.
Right.
Like, so all these different things. He would call them like ticks, right? He was saying, like, I'm a fantastic poker player. I would bet not even looking at my cards because everybody else would tell me if they had a good hand or not because he would read all of their nonverbal cues and
Right.
all these different things. But it was really cool because I've already applied it twice in sales meetings. I'm paying attention to these people in Zoom calls when I drop these different price points or when I say something that lights them up, right? When I mentioned the Vibo planning
He
app.
talked about adding a stressor to the conversation,
Yeah.
right? And then paying attention immediately right after when you add stress. And that could be just in asking a question or touching on a certain topic, or instance in the conversation, and then just seeing how they react. And this guy is a pro, right?
Yeah.
He's like
Oh,
really,
man.
He's down to like looking at the pupils of your eyes and watching whether or not they, they dilate
Yeah.
or not.
No, he got me on another one, right? So I was up there like 3-4 times. It was nuts. I was holding a coin, chip or something in my hand, and he would read me based on how I was like
Your
squeezing
grip.
tighter. He would shake he'd be like, oh, it's in this one for sure. And I would be like, dang it, he knows. How does he know? But
Yeah.
he would be like, oh, you're gripping this one tighter, so it's got to be in this hand. And I was like, oh, yep, he's got me. And so
Yeah.
he just knew how to read
He asked
me
you to
every-
raise your hand, and you immediately rose the hand with the chip.
Stupid. I'm an idiot. But it was good. And
man.
and like I was saying, yeah, right. It was very cool to see how we can apply this to our meetings in different ways because, yes, there can be times where there's stressors. A lot of the times it's when you mention your price point.
Right.
And they're like, oh, you know
Yep.
what I mean? But then you can read off of that.
Well, and it allows
That's
you
cool.
to redirect a conversation too.
Yeah,
if you need
exactly.
it. So if you might touch, like you said, on price point, and then you might see like,
They
was
fidget. They just do one of these.
Yep.
That's all it was. And
that's what it was,
Yeah.
and it gives you the indication like they didn't like that, and then now you can maybe start talking about value, right?
Yeah.
and change the direction of the conversation of providing value instead of taking money from their wallet.
Yeah,
which is
right.
what their
Right.
brain is
So
telling them, right?
expensive, Yeah.
So yeah, that guy was super cool.
cool.
That was he might
I
have been.
want to say Rich Ferguson.
Oh, I think you're. We had a Ferguson, but I don't. You might be combining two people. You might be right.
Nah, it's Rich Ferguson.
Is it okay? Rich Ferguson.
The last name just clicked in my head. He's got a viral video where he drops his head.
Oh yeah,
on
yeah.
America's Got Talent. So I'm sure you've seen it. We'll throw it up on the TV.
Yep. No, super cool. Yeah, he was my
He was
favorite
great. I really enjoyed him.
out of all the speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. So we had a day of education that included him. We won't go through every single
Sorry,
one
yeah.
that we did, but that was a
was a
good
good
one. That was a good one to bring up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did some really fun activities, and this is where I think being a part, of a group like this, and whether you're a photographer, and just and getting into your niche parts of the industry.
Yeah.
And really that's what this podcast is about, right? Talking about the wedding industry and ways that we can provide value to our listeners. And I think reaching out, whether it's even, and it all starts with just finding Facebook groups, really. And for me, I mean, taking my journey all the way back, you won't remember this because you weren't even DJing. You were probably in elementary school. But there was a group, and we used to have what were called forums. There was no face group or Facebook groups.
Face group, yeah.
Yeah, there was no face groups. But there was nothing like that, right? And so there were these forums, and this forum was called wedj.com.
Heck yeah.
And
just like a website?
The URL was start.wedj.com.
That's cool.
That's what it was. And that's where I met guys like Toad and actually a lot of the guys that are in Think Tank, Mike Walter, and, a lot of people that were in there. And I started just reaching out and asking questions to them. And long story short, you fast forward like whatever it is, 15, 18 years later, and I became friends with a lot of these guys. And DJ Think Tank, you have to be vetted into. It's a group that goes through rounds of, making sure that it's the right people in the group, really, is what it comes down to. We want to make sure that you've got people that are providing value and helping each other out. And it's just a really unique and cool group of DJs and event owners. And I would definitely advise any of you out there that are looking to grow and expand to find groups like this. I know we're not the only group in the world. We're not even the only DJ group. I've been involved in a couple of different ones over the years. Mm-hmm. But this one is pretty special in that we do things like this every summer.
Definitely.
So
cool.
I think the value in this group is when we actually, the education is no doubt awesome, but it's when we're together doing like some of the group activities. So
well, it's like we'll just be doing our activity, but talking about business and talking about what we know.
Right.
And we'll just get little tidbits, little nuggets on how to improve different things. Like somebody gave me a really good tip on embedding your file name with hot words, keywords. So for like YouTube, my file, I think we had talked about
right.
Naming it Wedding DJ Albuquerque, New Mexico, Cutmaster Music or something like that.
Right.
So then it just gets it in deeper in the search files and all those little nuggets that aren't necessarily in the education portion, but you're out there having a beer and just talking work and talking shop, because that's what's cool too. Is you don't get to talk shop with a lot of people like that, and so we have a lot of the same problems, even though it's cool because these guys are really elite level guys, top tier dudes, but they have a lot of the same problems that I have in terms of like DJ or social media marketing or whatever, and so we're able to collaborate and give different ideas.
And I think it's great
what's cool.
Really for you, because I mean, a lot of companies have what's called like a number two, right? Not the owner, but the guys that are really involved in the day-to-day operations and things like that. And so a lot of these company owners will bring their number twos and guys that are just super close out there. And I think it allows you to to collaborate and pick each other's brains a little bit. So cool. It is cool. It's special and it's fun. What was your favorite activity that we did while we were out there?
I really enjoyed the Octane, that whole space. That was great.
So talk about what that is. Octane was pretty fun.
Well, hold on. That wasn't my favorite, though. I'll let you talk about it.
Okay.
Because my favorite was karaoke.
Yeah.
Monday night karaoke was legendary. It was a movie. I maybe will experience that again in my life, but I'm telling you, that was iconic. It was truly it
was pretty good, right?
Wild.
I think when we originally were saying we were going to go to karaoke, most people were like,
gonna do it,
right?
Because that's kind of like the idea around karaoke.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool.
And
we didn't even sing.
No,
and I'm not
I
singing.
was singing along at the bars.
Right? Everybody was screaming the songs, but I mean, we really turned that place inside out.
Put a room of 50 entertainers, some of the best in the country, in a small little tight room. It's gonna explode. It's just the energy in there is insane. It was just so cool to see all these different people singing songs, getting people involved, and we were all saying it's hilarious. There was one little group of like girls with their just friends there,
right there,
all of these think tankers, and then just one random group, and we're like, oh, we ruined them. They probably think that's karaoke night every Monday or something, and no, it's not. But it was just so fun to have them there as well as all these other people. That was so fun. But then we did Octane, bro. I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah,
that was sick. Dude.
Octane was super fun.
So cool.
So if you're ever in Arizona, or in Phoenix and Scottsdale, and you're looking for something to do with especially if you're there with some friends. This place is called Octane, and it's an indoor go-kart racing facility. But these carts are wicked fast, like
So fast. I just did Hinkle, our local one here.
and
So I was
compared to Octane, right?
These are so slow. It was hilarious.
No, and it's
They
cool.
go like 30, 40 miles
I
an
think
hour.
it's like 40, 45 miles an hour,
We're
like
fast.
on the straightaways.
And they're all electric. That's cool.
It's so much fun, but it's not even just that. Okay, so there's a lot of different activities. I thought the arcade was a little disappointing.
Just
it
like
was
every other arcade you see.
Yeah, but it wasn't that big, which was fine. Okay, so the arcade was meh, but they have axe throwing. That was fun,
I like the games with the axe throwing.
and
That was cool.
they had like tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
There was some other ones where you got to
There's
hit targets.
Yeah.
Certain targets. It moves it around. It's
But
all
we,
like digital.
We have axe throwing here, and it's all just hit a target, right? That's
Yeah.
about it. But they had all these different interactive games, which was cool.
That was fun.
Mhm.
And then what really surprised me, and I am definitely doing this again. My favorite part, like I loved the go-kart racing. By the way, my first heat I took first. I'm just
Nice.
putting that out there.
There you go.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So but I got lost there. Oh, but my favorite part was definitely the virtual reality experience.
Nuts.
The VR
It was crazy.
so cool. And just to give you a little heads up, for those of you that can ever do this, do it. Like I'm not a VR like gamer like type of guy, and I've thought, I'm just doing it because it's there, right?
Yeah.
They put the VR headset on you. You've got a gun, right? And then they put you in this pretty big room. It's just
Pretty
a
big.
box.
Yeah.
It's a box.
It's
It's
an open
empty.
space, yeah.
And there were like what in our they said they could do up to 8, but I think there were like 6 of us.
Yeah. Yeah. There were 6 of us in there.
And the room and everything just changes. You're immersed in this world.
It transforms. It's like crazy how.
And we
yeah.
were on the same team fighting against zombies. And you have to shoot the zombies. It was so cool, you guys. Explaining it doesn't do it justice.
You just got to try it because you really do just feel immersed in this world. I was scared. I'd turn around and be like, "Oh man, there's a zombie!" Oh, I'm
all
dead.
yelling and screaming. And so, if you were watching us from the outside, it had to have been hilarious.
It's hilarious because you're just watching these random guys just running around a big room screaming, "What's going on?" And you could go up like different levels, but it was all one level.
We were all on the level, but you're right. Like you get on you can climb.
You could go up a ramp,
and it jacks with your head. But once you figure it out, then you're like good. But
it was surreal at some points because you really do feel so immersed.
You're
in
going
it.
up elevators, like
Because then when you stop and you take it off, you're like, wait, I was in this the whole time. Like it's trippy.
Yeah,
It's pretty trippy.
VR
It was fun.
was way fun.
Way fun.
That was probably my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
I really liked the racing too. The racing was super fun.
Racing was dope. I like that you could just drift on those things, and
Yeah.
you really felt like you're like fast in the. I don't drive. I'm not like that at all. And to be able to just like, you just felt so cool.
On my second run, I had a cart that definitely did not have the grip on the tires that my
Oh
first
yeah.
one did. And I was just like Mario Kart hitting a banana. I spun out like 3 times. It was like, brrr.
Did you get that video I sent you of you? I felt bad, but I was like, his kids will like.
Oh, that was
watching
funny.
this.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was initially. So actually, that
Your
helped
sons
me
would
out.
like watching
And
that.
that was my very first run. We hit the
Yeah.
first turn. Maybe you can put it up on the screen.
Yeah, we'll throw it up.
And you can see I hit the first turn and I immediately spun out. So I end up starting in like last place.
Yeah.
I'm playing catch up. But you didn't win by winning the race. It was lap times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up getting some pretty fast lap times because I had nobody in front of me from that point
there you
on.
go.
So I could just cruise.
That's what was tricky is you're just trying to race, and then you got people who are kind of beginner, advanced, and so you're having to maneuver through all that. So it's cool.
It was fun.
Nice.
Okay. Anything else we want to talk about with that? I mean, overall, that week was
Always rewarding.
super fun.
Yeah.
I learned a ton. I love being around that group. I am by far not the smartest guy in the room, and that's what I love about being with my think tank brothers
Yeah.
and sisters.
Well, that's what's cool about them is they don't make you feel like any less.
No.
Like that's so cool to be able to be around these people and be like, you know what? Yeah, like I felt like that, and this is what I did to get through it, and this is. Everybody's on a very level playing field, and it's such a cool space. And I encourage any of you to find some kind of group like that. Or if you haven't found one, maybe create one. Reach out to a couple photographers if you're in the photography, and just start hanging out. Just start talking about different things, and
Power of
collaborating.
networking is real. I mean, it's funny because I think a lot of people in the past have seen some of the stuff that we do and how we do it, and might think that, oh, I created a lot of this stuff, and it's really not true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all a collaborative effort of just things that I've taken from people that they're doing on the East Coast, the West Coast. They're doing this, they're doing that. Even the video booth, those aren't like original ideas. I think all of it turns into something that's unique and that we call Cutmaster music.
Yeah.
But like I said, being around this group it's been life-changing for me. So I would definitely, like you said, advise you to find a group of industry friends that you can collaborate with and learn from, and and just get together with. It's been super beneficial for us, for sure.
I always find a lot of value in just talking about people who are excited about things that I like too.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, cool. Because I feel like a lot of DJs here locally are all about getting into this nightlife scene, and no one understands the value of like private events. And there's a lot of people who do private events, but they don't. I don't know. We don't align.
That is that we could talk about a whole other episode about that nightlife versus private event life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll save that for another one. But
yeah.
So
good.
so that was 2 weeks ago that we did.
Yep.
We were out in Scottsdale, Think Tank, and then before I went on vacation this last week, we had a super fun event that we want to talk about, and this one was unique. And it ended up being, if you go to our Instagram and some of our socials, you'll see I posted, definitely I posted some footage from this. It was a private event at, I would consider it basically just a house party.
Yeah, it was.
It was a house party for someone that wanted to hire us. The referral came actually through an event planner that
Nice.
we've done events with in the past.
Nice.
And she's like, hey, my friend's going to reach out to you. They're going to be throwing this party. And I think it was kind of like a birthday party / just a party for her friends.
She said she did it every year, but I mean, you have a birthday every year. So.
Right. And so this was in Fort Hills, which originally scared me. It scared the heck out of me because I'm like, there is no way.
Very nice neighborhood. There's a lot of people who go to Fort Hills, we've said, don't have parties in Fort Hills.
Right.
And you're like, oh, God.
And then we go and we meet with her. Super nice lady. And I can tell, okay, she likes to have fun, right?
Yeah.
And we go to her house, and it's a typical Fort Hills home that's pretty big. It's very nice. I mean, basically the space that we were in was underneath the house.
The backyard was underneath the house, but outdoors. All open.
It was like a cave, like an underground grotto.
Yeah.
That led to the backyard, okay, and had beautiful views of the mountains and stuff. It was a great space for us. The setup for this was a little challenging.
Nuts.
The
fact that Bao said it was his hardest one ever. Like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, we basically had to come down about 20 steps or so to load.
And they're not traditional steps. They're about 3-4 feet long steps.
Right.
So it's very awkward in terms of like walking up. Walking down was a little bit better because you have gravity on your side and it's a little easier. But going up those stairs at the end of the night, oh my God.
Yeah, I definitely got my leg workout in on that party. So the setup was challenging, the loadout was challenging, but let's talk about what we did as far as the setup went. So
Nice.
she wanted a Coachella-themed event, and that was all based around doing Coachella. And so it's like, okay, what can we do to transform this space? So we did uplighting. We used our pixel tubes to create a kind of a focal point in the DJ space that we were at. I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it was like a staggered. We had a good backdrop to really put them out, and so like they looked really well, like staggered or staggered.
Right, it was tiered, right?
Tiered. Thank you. That's the word I'm thinking.
And you had a great idea, which we ended up incorporating, and she went for, which was to put a screen behind us, a TV screen.
A lot of festivals have visuals.
The visuals, right?
So
we did, we ran visuals, and then we had, like any festival would, we had 3 different DJs. Myself, and Tony. Tony was the headliner for us that night. He capped off the night. And then we had another DJ. I'm not going to throw any names out there, but another DJ that worked. He did the opening set. And it was kind of interesting working.
He was a close friend of the
with
client,
him,
right?
Close friend of the client.
But he was an experienced DJ too, so
Right. And actually, his DJ set was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more loungy vibes.
He was the opener, so he really was the lounge, chill house kind of guy.
And we had to actually bring in gear for him. Like he had kind of special needs as far as what he wanted. He needed CDJ 2000 and
It's
X.
like a traditional club setup.
Totally.
Versus like your private. Like for private events, we set up and tear down every single time. So it's nice for us to have a more all-in-one controller. When you're at a nightclub, that setup doesn't move at all, and a lot of these spots will go industry standard as like CDJ 2000s or whatever. So that was kind of what he wanted.
Right, and which was fine, and he ran off of USBs, which is different than what we're doing. So, anyways, he kind of had just certain needs,
Just a little different.
But then, and I was really glad because we rented gear from a good friend of ours locally here, who was awesome enough to, let us rent these decks from him.
For real.
And I made him try out those decks before, and I'm so glad that we did, because he tried out the decks, and they worked great. Sounded great, worked great. I was like, all right, perfect. These are going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the DJ gets there, puts in his USBs, won't read his drives. And he's looking at me like, why don't these work? And I'm like, dude, I don't use these.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, this is...
You have to have USBs
this is your
formatted to the CDJ.
He swore to me up and down he's been using these for years and blah, 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 and just used them last week at an event that so... We're starting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
And so, excuse me. So then, finally, long story short, the decks do end up reading his drives. He gets up and going, but then he starts having issues with the mixer, and they weren't showing his master levels. And I know why. So he basically didn't have the levels on his gains for the actual faders turned up. I'm getting technical here. Most of you don't care about this, but I'm looking at Tony and I'm talking with him. They weren't turned up high enough for them to read on the master. Okay. So I know this, and he's really early into the set, and I'm asking him because he's like talking with me about this while he's DJing.
Yeah.
So I figured he wants it fixed.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, just turn up your gains here while turning down the master. And he starts flipping out, and he's like, and I'm like, all right. And at that point, I was done.
Yeah.
Because he started getting kind of snippy with me. He's being super pretentious.
Ugh.
And I was like,
It's
dude.
annoying. Yeah.
I was like, all right, you're annoying me already. Everything works. I'm like, and then I showed him the main mixer. Your master's right here. Just look at that. Like, whatever. I'm like, I'm trying to help you out.
Yeah.
Like, why are you asking me?
I'm trying to do you a favor.
Yeah. Why are you asking me if I'm showing you what the fix is?
Yeah.
In all honesty, it was like he didn't know how to work a mixing board, like in sound.
Yeah.
And this is someone who's been doing this for a really long time.
Yeah, you think you would know the
But
ins and outs.
And at that point, I literally went and walked out to my car so I didn't have to deal with him anymore.
Like, I'm done, dude.
I was like, nah, do your
You're
set.
good. You sound good. I'll
Yeah,
see you
like
after.
everything's working. Like,
Yeah.
he was being very picky and just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. But so I was like, all right, just do your thing. Like, if you're good, and I told him, I'm like, if you're good, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do what you need, right?
Yeah.
Put the lights on autopilot, just like, yeah. So, anyways, so getting into my set.
Your set was
So then
nice.
we go from him. He did about the first like hour and a half, 2 hours, while people were eating and just kind of lounging around, chilling. And then we wanted to turn it up a little bit, and I purposely. And when we get back to the music, I'll play a couple of the jams that I did for this party. I purposely wanted an old school vibe and feel, but with the festival, vibes.
Mm-hmm.
So every single one of my tracks had some sort of throwback element to it.
Yeah, you had like Backstreet Boys, Dre, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
A bunch of
like
tasty ones.
I mean, I'm looking through here. I mean, and I went back like as far like playing like Blondie.
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Fugees. I mean, like,
No, that was perfect though, because that was exactly what the client wanted. They wanted this section to be like recognizable stuff, and then I didn't really understand that she wanted it to be new stuff, because she explained that to us after. was that she wanted it to be like sing-alongs, but fun and high energy, people that can recognize the music and then transition into like more
She which
housey,
I don't think you heard this, but she told me she wanted a rave.
Yeah.
And she wanted rave vibes.
Yeah.
And it made sense for her because back in the day, that's what she used to do. She used to go to raves and clubs, and that was her thing. And so she wanted to bring that back. And so it was really cool because I think we had really 3 unique sections of the night.
Yeah, they really were different, but they were perfect. They worked out really well.
And I had so much fun. I was
going.
was able to go and deep dive into finding new music that fit the festival vibe with old school elements, and I just had a ton of fun.
Nice.
And it was great too because of the response I got too. Like they were digging it. They were totally loving it, digging it.
People on the tables going crazy. I'm telling you,
it was so much fun.
It was fun.
And then we got into your set, which was
good.
A completely different, still festival like vibes, but house.
Yeah, it was a lot houseier.
Yeah, which was I really enjoyed it.
It was funny because I'd venture off into like maybe a little bit more popular stuff or some more sing-alongs, and then she'd come up to me and be like, a little bit more just like deep housey. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to my FX set then. This FX is if you don't know, a local nightclub, but they do a lot of dance music there. So I pretty much pulled from that folder the entire time, but it was just super, super fun. We had people dancing all night. The songs that I have for Back to the Music are kind of different moments in the night that kind of stuck out in my head where I like got a crowd reaction. So
yeah, it was
it's fun.
I mean, it's probably going to go
Turnouts
down
suck.
as one of my top 3 events that we do this year.
Nice.
Just because it was so unique.
Yeah.
Everything about it. The people there were super fun, were cool. But I mean, I want to say the average age of that night was probably in 40s.
I wanted to say late 30s, so yeah.
Yeah.
I felt the same thing.
I mean, it was definitely
there were some people, I feel like some people maybe heard a party was going on and showed up. I got that vibe from a couple people because there was like maybe 1 or 2 young people there, but it was probably 80 to 90% like people in their 40s just partying.
I mean, I think her birthday, she was celebrating, I think, her 55th birthday. So
okay.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, we're talking, this is like an older, like, relatively speaking, just like a more mature crowd. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Right. You wouldn't expect a crowd like this to be partying the way they did.
Yeah, no, it was. But what was
it was a
really
college party
cool,
with a bunch of 40-year-olds.
Okay, so originally I was thinking this thing's getting shut down by. I mean, a noise ordinance is going to go into effect. There's no way.
Yeah.
But because of the unique space and how that was set up underneath the house, you really couldn't hear.
We were really sending sound into just open air over there. There was no houses on the other end, and then behind, when you would go up, you wouldn't hear a thing.
But
you could, but like it was.
I mean, I went and walked around.
We were bumping. We had subwoofers, KLAs, like
I brought line arrays.
Excuse me,
into that backyard, and it was not. I mean, we had the decibels going for sure. So. It was fun. It's going to go down as it was a unique event. Just got to kind of play whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
Reading the crowd. There was somebody during my set. I don't think you were there yet.
Yeah.
But that came up to me and was trying to make a request, and she immediately came up to him and said, "No requests."
Oh,
she's like, "There's no requests. Let them just play."
Yeah.
And I was reading. I was
down.
I was taking.
We're
some
always
requests and
down to hear
whatnot.
something if it fits.
Well, it was cool because one person came up to me, and I'm trying to remember what it was. He asked me to play, hey, can you mix in, he goes, can you do a mashup of whatever? Oh, I can't remember what it was. And I ended up playing, with the song that I was playing, it was an Avicii track at the time. It was like a Levels mashup that I was playing. And I ended up, I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick. Shoot. Oh, yes. It was, I think it, was it? It wasn't Heaven is a Place on Earth. It was one of those tracks. It was Cruel Summer.
Cruel Summer.
Yes. So he comes up and asks me because I'm kind of,
you're in
mixing those old school stuff, right?
Okay.
So he asked me, can you mix in, can you do a mashup of Cruel Summer? And I just happened to be playing mashup with levels.
Okay.
So I went into this, right? Let me fast forward here. Okay, so I mix this right in.
Nice, nice.
And
yeah.
this comes on, and he immediately turns around and just fist bumps me and his jaw dropped.
That's awesome.
He was like, oh my God.
That's the best.
Yeah, so it was cool. It just happened to be, I go and look up the track, right?
Yeah.
And I happen to have this mashup that is going to just perfectly blend in.
That's awesome.
it
No,
was
those are the best. When they give you a request and you're like, ooh, I've got a tasty one.
It was one of those
for you.
nights where everything was just happening kind of perfectly. It
Yeah.
felt like, it was super cool.
That's dope.
So yeah. Anything else we want to talk about with this one?
The teardown sucked. We were done at 1:30.
Okay, so we ended at
Shout out Bow.
1:30.
Yeah.
I mean, we were
They wanted to.
we were supposed to go till
a
1.
little longer. Yeah. So we were going, and then they were like, "If you want to go a little longer, is that cool?" And so we went a little longer.
We were like,
It's tough because the vibes are good, but you can, as professionals, we see it dying.
right.
Like, okay, we can keep it going, but people are. I guess what she had said is all the liquor was drinking at the bottom, and so they went up to her house. And she's all, they're drinking all my liquor. They're drinking out of my liquor cabinets now. So
Yeah.
the party just moved upstairs, and we were all downstairs. But that was nice for us because it really helped us. Okay, we're done.
Yeah. So we end
Hey,
up
we're
getting.
partying all night, I bet.
So we end at 1:30. We didn't get out of there until. So I call up Bao. Man, Bao,
That was a man.
you're right. Shout outs to Bao. He was the man that night.
He helped us.
I call up. I text him. I'm like, hey, any chance you
had
want
to
to
have
help
texted
me?
him at 11 o'clock.
It was early.
Oh, it was? Okay.
No. It was early. In fact, it was probably when we started about 7:30, 8ish. I was like, hey, any chance you want to
That's
help
hilarious.
us with this event tonight?
Yeah.
And he wasn't up to much. He was like, oh, I'm just hanging out at wherever he was.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll head on over a little bit later. I was like, oh my God,
Nice.
yes. And so,
Dude, that was awesome for him to show up. 'cause
Yeah.
It helped.
it helped
Quite a bit.
We got out probably about 2:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an hour was pretty. I was impressed by the hour. It's like, okay, that was pretty good. We got out of there within the hour. But getting those subs, the subs were awful. The speakers were awful.
Yeah. It was
TV was awful.
it was
But
not-
it looked great.
It looked awesome.
client
It
was happy.
Great, but yeah, at 2:30 at night, that was the last thing I wanted to be doing was
Right.
hauling out the gear up.
Top
20
3 best
steps.
events. Top 3 hardest events.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. No, it was great.
It was
Really
cool.
fun. I loved it.
So we had fun. It was a good one. Those of you that were there, hope you had a good time.
I will say I saw somebody. I saw somebody there who was on commercials on the news, and I was like, "Dang, I saw him at that party. That's sick." So that's cool. I'll
nice,
tell you later.
cool. Okay, so we are going to skip the grab bag portion of
Nice.
of this episode
Good call.
because we're under the gun with time here, and we're gonna go ahead and immediately just take it back.
We going back, baby.
Great Scott!
Run for it, Marty.
So super fun event. Go check out those mixes if you can get a hold of them, or hit us up and we'll hook you up for you DJs out there. But I think this was a quick episode.
Little quick hitter.
We are going to give you 2 episodes this week. We're just letting you know we're playing catch up. So that's actually why we've got to end this one a little bit shorter today, because we are going to be doing our next
Doing
episode
another one,
right
right?
after for you all. But it was good to talk about Think Tank. This has been a fun last couple of weeks.
It's been nice because we had events, but like I went to New Orleans, you went to Washington.
we got our vacation time
Phoenix.
in, right?
And this is the time because late July is usually around the time where it's hot in New Mexico, so a lot of people aren't really getting married outside. I mean, I had a wedding yesterday or last weekend, but luckily now it's kind of scary because you get monsoon season, rain. I'm checking weather every single Saturday because I'm scared. But it's all good.
Outdoor events. Really quickly before we get out of here, actually, you just mentioned I went on vacation to D.C. For those of you music lovers and just American pop culture lovers, I definitely recommend the Museum of American History.
Yeah.
I mean,
It looked cool.
It was so cool. Prince's guitar. They're showing clips of his concerts and stuff. I'm just thinking of like the music elements that. I mean, I didn't even get to see the whole museum. It was that big.
It's crazy. That's how big.
DJ setups from Grandmaster Flash and Steve Aoki had a special setup that was there that he had used.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something for everybody. But that museum, for whatever reason, didn't really pop up on the radar. We were looking for something like to do just to fill up some time on the last day that we were there.
Yeah.
And my kids say that was their favorite museum out of all the ones that we went to. It was
The
that
random one that you guys.
It was the random that we were just like, okay, what can we hit up before we go? That's in the area there. That place was so cool. Lowrider from Espanola,
dude. What?
It was. Did you see?
I might have.
I'll show it to you, but like, it's
awesome.
right when you walk in. The very first thing, there's this wicked car, lowrider, and I told Monica, I was like, that is either from Espanola or L.A.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are the only two places it can come from. And it was on the back, the license plate, Chimayo, and it talks about the family that made it, and they're at Espanola, of course.
You go. Yeah.
So Espanola, New Mexico, representing. The car was beautiful, man.
Nice.
It was
cool.
gorgeous.
Nice.
So super cool. Museum of American History.
Check it out.
Check it out. That's going to do it for this episode of Cutmaster Cast, episode number 23.
Yep.
And keep a lookout for us on episode number 24.
See you guys later. We appreciate you all for tuning in.
See ya.
Later.
Thanks for checking out the Cutmaster Cast podcast. Make sure you stay tuned with all things related at www.cutmastermusic.com.